Welcome to the Fab Forums. On this episode, I build an entire reverse flow offset smoker and I show you how to do it. What is up, Fabrication Nation? So I've been on a pocket here lately, but got a build I want to do. We're gonna knock it out in this video. Got some other projects in the shop. This is my buddy Chuck's car. Gonna build a little turbo setup for it. If I can get it done, we'll do maybe do some racing next season. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. I've had some smokers in mind that I want to build, specifically offset smokers. And so, well, let me show you. Just scared all my pet deer away. So a while back, I went and bought some propane tanks. So the one you see right here is a 500 gallon. And then I bought a 330, I think that's what that one is. This one's 37 inches, I think, diameter, and that one's 30, I believe. Plan is to build a big trailer offset smoker. I'm sure you've seen them before. It's pretty common. I've been watching a lot of videos online and really got some ideas about what I want it to look like and what I want to do with it. Initially, I bought the 300 first. Actually, I bought two of the 300s, and I was going to use it to make the smoker out of. But it's just, this one's so long and not big around that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go back and get one of the 500s. And then I might cut this one in half and use it as the firebox. It's going to be huge, probably way bigger than I'm going to need ever. But I want to build it, so I'm gonna build it. What are you guys doing? So I've already been doing a lot of the design work for that smoker. Counterweight pieces, the handles, a lot of that kind of stuff I've already been designing up and kind of getting it all dialed long before I actually start on it. This video I want to build a home smoker. I don't want to say little because it's gonna be pretty big, but I sat down and designed what they call a fridge smoker. So it's got doors on the front that open up versus on the top. Kind of copied this design after some other smokers that are on the market that are custom made. You can't just go buy them at Home Depot or something. These are more of like smoker builders that build these things custom for people. And I've already started cutting a ton of the parts. So like this is one of the sides. That's for the smokestack. These are gonna be for the handles. These are some door seals, some hinges. So that's the back piece. Here's the front doors to kind of give you an idea how big it's gonna be. Side piece, smokestack. So I think I got everything cut except for the firebox, which I'll probably cut here in just a little bit, but I figured let's get tacking this thing together and I'll kind of show you what I got. I did sit down and design this thing in 2D, and so I thought, you know what, I might better kind of draw it up based on the dimensions that I've got in 3D just to make sure that it kind of has the look that I'm after. And so a little SketchUp work, and that's basically what I got. Dimensionally, it'll be exactly like you see. The only thing that's not exact will be the legs. So that was just kind of like a rough idea of the leg setup that I want to do. Haven't cut those or designed them yet. Well, actually, I have kind of designed them yet, but I don't know if I'm stuck on that particular idea. And then, you know, just a generic doors. I've got some fancy stuff that I kind of want to do there, but at least I can stand back and look at it and be like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm after. One of the things I want to do is offer all of this design to you guys too. So probably going to offer the DXF files for all these parts if you want to build your own, and then maybe even do more of a blueprint style design for those that maybe want to build it, don't have a plasma table or a laser, and just want to hand cut everything. So it'll be, you know, it'll have everything drawn up with the measurements, and you can just kind of hand cut it and build it that way if you want to. All right, so let's start tacking this thing together. So I cut a bunch of spacers. This is the same material that the entire smoker is gonna be made out of. It's just 1/8 inch plate. And the main reason I cut these spacers is everything's gonna be welded outside corners. And so I could kind of space the piece up and kind of tack it from the inside, and it'll give me that outside corner that I'm wanting. So I cut several of these, and then I cut a couple extras as just welding coupons to kind of get the MIG welder dialed in. I don't MIG weld much, so, you know, I probably need to practice just a little bit. Kind of want this thing to look as good as it possibly can. So, I'm gonna start off by tacking a couple of these together. So when I say outside corner, that's what I'm talking about. There's a nice gap in there to actually weld everything up. Not too bad. I think that's going to work. I'd really like to not have to grind anything off, but you know, the welds are all cobbled up looking. Probably not going to leave them. Alright, now the hard part is to start putting it all together and not break a piece off. So you can start to get an idea of the size of this thing. And so this will be the bottom. Back, top obviously won't be this high, or maybe it will, I don't know. Guess I need to figure that out. And the front will be right here. 2 doors, probably 3 racks, and a ton of meat. All right, so far, pretty smooth sailing. So I got it kind of all tacked together. I don't think it's gonna fall apart. One of the things I'm trying to look at now is I don't want to back myself into a corner. These panels are pretty heavy, and so I don't want the door panel to be the last panel that I install. Probably want maybe the top. And the good thing is if I put the door panel in, I can kind of break it loose, put the hinges, all that stuff on, and then I can open it. All right, so before I put the door section in, and you may be able to see in the plasma file, I had it cut the doors out for me, but it left these reliefs. So there's one in the top, one in the bottom, one in the middle, same on this side. And that's just to keep it all where it needs to be until I put the hinges on it. The idea is when I'm done, I can cut these loose. Once I get the hinges and everything on it, I can cut these loose and the doors will stay the same way. Hopefully they don't sag or anything, and I'll be good to go. Cross my fingers. What I want to do is I'm going to put these braces in here to kind of keep the doors from warping from the heat of the cooker. So I'm going to do like a cross brace, probably be something like that. All right, so that's everything but the top. I'll wait to put the top on. Gonna hinge the doors. Probably do some welding, hinge the doors. You can see my X braces in there. And then I actually added a drip rail down here at the bottom as well. That way anything coming down that door is not trying to come out the seams in the front. It'll kind of, most of it will drip inside. So this opening here is for the smokestack. It'll have a collector, the stack that goes up, and then the bottom piece is for the smoke box. So the smoke and heat will go in here, and this will be a reverse flow. So the smoke box and the smokestack are on the same side. There'll be plates in here that go almost the whole length of the cook chamber. So the heat will go in, it'll go all the way down, and then up and back across your meat and stuff, and then out the stack. So that's the plans on this thing. Man, it's a lot bigger than I thought it was gonna be. Put some hinges on this bad boy. I'm gonna have to weld the edges on either side before I do it. Put some hinges on it, and hopefully we can cut those doors loose and open them up. I added a decorative piece, so in the kit It's got these corner pieces. So you have one there, be one on this end, one in that corner, and one in this corner. In the center, it won't have it. It'll have a solid strip. So anyway, these go in the corners, and then I've got several of these, and they're over length, so I had to trim them. So they were like, I don't know, probably that long, 22 inches, whatever that is. And then I just trim them to fit. I felt like it'd be easier to do that. Just cut it, and then you trim it to fit exactly. Just got it tacked in. So there's these little holes, kind of tack it there. I'll probably come out here and TIG weld the end of these just to make it look nice. And now we're ready for a hinge. So this piece on this side and that side have to go on first. And basically this is just a seal. So you can see it overlaps like 1 inch. Attaches to the door, and this will kind of keep smoke in, keep the doors sealed up nice and tight. So you got to put these on before the hinges go on, because the hinges go over those pieces. So I went ahead and tacked those on. Now we're going to put these hinges on. So it's the hinges 4 brackets. They're stacked. And there'll be 2 of them, obviously. Firebox is getting real close now. Hinges are on. Got them kind of TIG welded up. On this top piece, even on the smoker itself, I did the same thing. On the smoker, I doubled it up. So, well, just to make it a little more robust. I may do the same on this as well. I really needed to get the door cut out though, so I could start putting some of the insulation panels in it. So on the inside of this thing, and this is a big opening too, I don't know if you can tell, but so this is 18 wide by 19 deep. So this is a big firebox. This whole thing's much bigger than I thought it was gonna be. I think when I designed it up, I don't know, the 3D rendering, it just didn't look quite as big, but it's gonna be big, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with it. I just kind of wasn't expecting the weight and making sure that I get everything dialed. So anyway, the firebox itself is gonna be insulated. Got a box right here full of insulation. So this is just some like 1800 degree insulation mat. I think it's 1 inch thick. Not sure what the thickness on this is. 2 inches. So I'll just lay 2 layers in there. And the idea is that the floor will be the same level, will be right here. So it'll be easy to kind of get, I can kind of brush the ashes out. So 2 inches insulation. Actually, that might be 2 inches thick. I might have ordered it properly. And then what I did is I made this little piece. It should go. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. All right, so the idea that's gonna be the floor. You're probably asking, what are these cutouts for? Well, I didn't want any, I wanted the least amount of heat transfer as I could get to the outside panel, but I wanted to be able to weld it really easy. So I cut these little reliefs out, and I'll just go in here and kind of weld these tabs to this wall, weld the front, smooth it up, weld the back. And then what I'll do is then I'll insulate here, and I'll just make a piece that goes from there, maybe a bend. I don't know yet. I haven't cut that piece yet, but I knew I wanted an air gap in there. I wanted the least amount of heat transfer through the metal into the sidewalls. Okay, so the idea is I'll put some bracing on the back of this door just like I did the other doors. Just try to keep it from warping from the heat. May even box it in some, and maybe even put some insulation in this bad boy. I don't know. I guess if I box it, I won't need the X braces, but I gotta figure out what I wanna do as far as vents. If I wanna put vents in it, the handle. So as of right now, this is what I got as a handle. I think I'm gonna kind of maybe separate it some, give it a little dimension, and then I'm gonna mount it somewhere like that. And it'll have like little tabs over here that kind of hooks on, have a handle, and when you open the door, yeah. This project, I just kind of figured, have a good game plan, but don't have it all figured out. I'll figure it out as I go, mainly around aesthetics and how it looks. I really want this thing to look as cool as I possibly can. And then on this, so because the door is on the front, the same as the cooker, the insulation piece that comes up will have to kind of turn in, because this hole has to be here. I'll insulate the whole other side, insulate the back likely, and then there's one last piece that goes on the top. I haven't decided if I want to insulate that piece yet or just leave it flat where the heat can get to it. Could possibly be used as a skillet or just a place to dry wood. I mean, the skillet wouldn't be useful because the actual smokestack itself is going to kind of come out and hang over this. So I don't know. Might insulate it too. Guess for now, I can go ahead and throw some insulation in the bottom of this thing, get this thing tacked in, weld the front of it. Go ahead and clean that up. And that way I know where I want to go from here. And then probably back on the actual cook chamber. Really need to finish welding all this and grind it all flush, very similar to like what I've done here. I don't know if I've said it already, but the idea is I'm gonna clear this thing just the way it is. I'll probably clean it up as much as I can. But y'all know me, I really love the raw look of just metal and welds and grinding and all that stuff. So I've got some really nice clear somewhere. I don't even know where I put it at. Oh, there's my gauges. I forgot I had those things. So that's what I got to clear it with. Withstands temps up to 1500 degrees. Will not peel, blister, discolor, resistant to scratching and marring. Hopefully that's enough. I just got 1 pint. Probably should have got more. Shout out to Pig Iron Patina for the help on the paint, the clear. I was kind of looking at ceramic coats and really just couldn't find what I was. Well, listen, there's guys already doing this stuff. There's no sense for me to try to reinvent the wheel. So I just reached out to a couple guys that are already making these smoke pits and that are actually having good results, see what they use. And that was the recommendation. Shout out Kyle. Pig Iron Patina. Go check them out on YouTube. Make some sweet, sweet cookers. So I ended up going with some big old 3-inch Tell-True gauges, which everybody loves the Tell-Trues. But the more research I did, I think they're actually owned by another company. I don't know if it's going to say it on here, but another company that actually has similar gauges for less money. So I don't know if you have to have these. I think it's got a 4-inch stem on it. I think I'm gonna mount it like right there. Basically right in the middle of the door. Right below my second rack. So bottom rack will probably be in here like this. And then I guess I'll put a second rack in here about right there. That way you're not worried about this thing swinging in like hitting meat. And then I got some nice weld-in bungs. So hopefully these are the right size. I think it's supposed to be 1/2 inch. Yeah. So I'll just drill a hole, weld these nice bungs in there, and then I'll have my Tell-True gauges. And the idea, I think, too, is that I want to put some kind of brow over this thing. So this is a 3-inch gauge. I'll probably get some 4-inch pipe that'll actually cover the gauge, keep it from getting banged or whatever. It'll kind of protect it and keep it out of the weather. I'm also going to put some kind of drip rail system up here that kind of curves down. And that way no water's, going right in behind my doors. The water will come down, out that drip rail, off the edge and out, and I don't have water getting in the inside of my cooker. All right, enough talking, back to work. Okay, bottom plate is in, got it welded, and then I made the side plates very similar to the bottom plate. So this bottom plate, ties in over here, welded in a couple spots. Well, then I made side plates that basically just go up the sides. Packed it with some more insulation, limited contact to the side, tacked it in. Before it's all said and done, I'll fully weld all these joints. I'm gonna wait though because I don't want to weld any more than I have to, and there's gonna be a back plate back here that'll also insulate this back wall. And then, yeah, side plates. The side plates will probably step in just a smidge. They won't be flush out here. I'll probably do the same 2-inch gap that I've been doing. Cool. Gonna need some more metal before I kind of go finish this firebox up. And this thing is getting kind of heavy, which, I mean, it is what it is. I'll figure it out. So while I'm waiting on the metal for this thing, move on to the handles on this bad boy. So as I always do, I kind of have a plan. There's gonna be a handle back plate, and they'll just kind of mount on there like that. And then obviously you can see this side slotted. That's because it's gonna go up and down. This side is gonna be just permanently mounted. They're level. And you know, you'll pop this one up. It'll allow you to open the door. Then you can open this one. Y'all know how this works. Push it in, latch it down. So I got two of these, and I've got some brackets for the handle itself. I've actually got some wood and some stainless hardware. And then these are just gonna mount like that. The only thing I haven't decided yet is this thing looks like it's out further than I need, so I thought about putting a bend in it just to help it make it easier to weld. But before I do that, I need to make sure these holes are clearance for the hardware. Get the hardware in this thing drilled, welded just for a little welding aesthetic. And get them up there, and then I can kind of see what I want to do as far as the distance of the wood off of the panel itself. I guess I could go ahead and mount my gauges too. My two true tail trues. That's what we're looking like after one. So it's just got the back plate, welded some bolts to it, TIG those on, some brackets, TIG'd them all the way around just so moisture can't get in there. And then I've got some stainless lugs that will actually go into the wood handles. Gonna wait till the end, sand them, stain them, something a little bit darker. And then lots of poly, just to keep them nice and fresh. Yeah, I dig it. All right. So we got one more to do. And this one will actually have another bracket on the back side. It slides through right here and latches to the back side of this. And then it'll all bolt together with some nylon locking nuts, just so I can leave it just loose enough where it actuates. So the bend was way to go on these. They were a little bit too long, and it gives me a little extra place to weld, a little extra character too. So that's the way to go. If you end up getting this kit, the tabs will be, I don't know, probably an inch too long. So you can either cut them off or just bend them like I did. All right, let me make the other one and we'll see what it looks like. this thing. Basically just made this arm in here that goes down through this drip panel and then sticks out the bottom. And then it basically just, you know, hooks on the back side of this. Made it L-shaped. That way it has a little rigidity. It's not gonna flex on me. And then what I'll probably do is I'm gonna coat all this stuff. I'm gonna take everything apart, take the doors off, hang everything, and clear coat it. And I'm gonna do all these pieces separate as well. But once I'm all done, I think I'm just gonna tighten these bolts to the desired tightness and then just tack them in there versus using a nylon thread locker. I'll just give it a little tack. If I ever need to get it off, I'll cut the tack loose so I can get them off, but that way they won't go anywhere. There's no nylon that could potentially melt. But I'll lube everything up too as well. As far as these go, I want to find the exact center. I've showed this tool before on the channel. Done a Friday video on it a long time ago, but basically it's just finds the center. So you can take a pen or a scribe, and then you can just turn it any which way. You can do it multiple times if you want, but want two done properly, two will show you the center of this thing. So there you go, there's a perfect center right there. So I'll just mark all the sides, drill the holes to the proper size for the lugs. I'll have to find the lugs. What the heck did I do with those things? I don't know, I got them around somewhere. And then I'm gonna go ahead and mount them just to kind of make sure everything is fit properly and it's, you know, feels like I want it to and all that stuff. And then I'll take these off, sand them down to get all the dirt off. It's probably stain them something darker. They're a little too light for me. And then poly them real good just for the weather and make them easy to clean. I'm ready to go. No heat transfer, nice and cool. I'm gonna do one more on the firebox as well, probably be a little bit shorter, but kind of the same principle. I'm gonna carry it through the whole smoker. All right, moving on. Gonna work on the inside a little bit. So hopefully you can see this, but I'd mentioned it was a reverse flow smoker, and I went in here and put some angle. So there's a shelf in here, probably about 1.5 inches down from this ledge, and then some angle on the back as well. And then I also found the cutout that actually came out of this piece and welded it in there as a diffuser. And basically what I'm looking for on this is that direct line of sight. I don't want fire direct line of sight to be able to heat up this plate in here. So there's gonna be a plate that sits on these pieces of angle, and that plate will go all the way across, and then right here it'll kind of go up just a little bit, and that's gonna allow basically the smoke and the heat are gonna come through the bottom, up through that opening, which is, I don't know, what, 3-4 inches, and then it'll go back through the box and out the smokestack, which will be attached right here. It's called a reverse flow. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm gonna build both. So this will be a reverse flow smoker, and then the propane tank will be a direct flow smoker. So it'll have a firebox on one side, smokestack on the other, so the heat will just travel through and out. These travel under and up. Now the idea with this is that it's supposed to cook more evenly, is the idea, because, you know, you got a bunch of heat here that could affect meat if there was no baffle plate, and there's nothing on this side, so it'll be cooler. The idea with this is that it can all be the same temperature by the time it comes up in the box, and it's not gonna, you know, necessarily burn this meat or overcook this meat and not cook this meat enough. The other thing is this bottom plate warms up, and so it has a radiant heat that kind of cooks from the bottom up as well, which could be a downfall, but could also be a plus. Let me grab a plate and throw it in here. I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. All right, so this is a 24 by 24 plate. This is actually the top of the firebox, but I'll make something similar to this, likely in two pieces. Piece here, piece there that has the bend built in it. And maybe make a flange that goes underneath it, just keep heat from kind of coming through the gaps. So yeah, the smoke and heat will travel under these plates, up, across the meat, out the smokestack. These will warm up a little bit. So I think when I put the racks in, I gotta think about that. I think the first rack may be low, but I might do the second rack about midways. That'll be my brisket rack. Do chicken or ribs or something on the bottom. And may end up doing a rack on top, I don't know yet. So one of the pluses too to this is that all your drippings will fall here. You can pull these plates out, clean them, make new ones if they get, if they start to deteriorate. Some drippings will go to the bottom, but like I said, you can pull these out. You can clean the inside of this, put the panels back in, and you're ready to rock and roll. As far as the shelves go, I'm just gonna use some angle. Like that. I'll cut them to fit. Weld them on both sides, and then I'll build trays out of like 1 by 1. You'll see that here in a little bit. And then the trays will be able to slide in and out. So you can slide the tray out to access meats that you might have on the back. Same thing with the second and third tray as well. So let's do that. Let's get these cut, get these pieces of angle in here. Ready for trays. Threaded bungs for the tail chew gauges are in. Just got them tacked in for right now. I'll probably weld them once I take the doors off. I can lay it flat. Latch system's working nicely. There's the gauge ports, and you can see that they just barely missed the X. And then got all the angle in here for the racks. So went 3 levels. I think it ended up being like 7 inches between the bottom 2, and then the top one is just whatever it is. Yeah, 7 inches between the bottom, or I guess all 3 racks. And the top clearance is just whatever it is. Worked out nice because the center rack is perfectly level with smoke flow going out the smoke stack here. And may end up putting like a baffle that kind of connects these two, and that way when the diffuser plate's in here, the smoke and heat has to go under and all the way up to this section before it can cross over. So I might play with it. I might actually make a couple different ones, and then once I get this thing fired up and cooking, I'll kind of see where the heat's at. Angling for the diffusers, I showed you that. Everything's pretty much dialed on the inside. Doors are pretty much dialed. Let's keep moving. Stack is done. Basically, just put it together the same way the rest of it was. It's all corner joints, 6 pieces. You know, you got a top, you got a bottom, 2 sides, and then the fillers. Did some of the grinding here just so I could basically put the stack damper on. So that thing's just cut, I don't know, maybe 1/4 inch over 2 brackets. And I slid a rod through it. Wasn't, you know, super worried about the alignment. Figured I'd just weld it wherever it kind of landed up top, and then put a little handle at the bottom. So when this thing, you know, open, get a little flag flying over here. All right, I think we're getting really close as far as all mocked together. Got a ton of grinding to do. I'll leave some of the welds on here. Around the stack, I'll probably end up grinding those off. Everything around the cook chamber I'll grind off, make it nice and smooth. One thing I thought about doing was made these hangers out of some 1/4 inch. Thinking about maybe mounting them like that. You know, one there, one on this side. Idea behind those is that, you know, I could pick it up. I could put a strap on it, pick the whole thing up in one shot, make it easier with the tractor. The only other option is forks underneath it, which could happen as well. I don't know. I got to figure that out, because if I want to do that, I need to go and get those welded on too. Okay, I'm going to do a bunch of welding, a bunch of grinding. I'm going to get this thing all dialed in. Got a couple little pieces on the firebox I need to finish. I need to bend some pieces to go in here. I'll kind of start on that in a little bit, and then I'm going to cut the entire leg portion of this build. It's going to be one whole sheet. I've got a good idea. Actually, I might make it out of cardboard first just to verify that I like the design. And then I'll get it all cut, take this thing off the table, start making those legs, and then hopefully I can mate it all together. Got a bunch more done, put a drip rail on the top. And then what I'll probably do, I don't think I'm gonna weld it all the way across. I may seal it in here before I paint it. And then drip rail, eyebrow set up for the gauges. Those 2 things kind of keeps the water off of them and protects them against a rogue log or who knows. All right, you can see, like, I think this barely misses that. Actually, not barely, it's got plenty of room, but. And then some hooks, so I can pick this bad boy up. Got the stack cap on there. I think she's done except for just grinding off some rogue welds where I was kind of filling some pinholes. You can kind of see it's glopped up down here. I'll probably clean all this up. I'll definitely clean all that up. Okay, fully welded. Firebox, I'm gonna start working on it. Really all I got left on it is to finish the inside here. Put the trim pieces on the door, and then I also made a matching drip rail for this thing. And then the handle system, I gotta figure that out. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to lay out the legs on some cardboard just to make sure that I like the way it looks. I'll kind of hang this thing off the edge and stick them up there and just kind of make sure that it's what I think it's gonna be. If it is, I'll start cutting all that stuff. Gotta move this thing off the table so I can build the legs. Lots more welding, lots more grinding. All right, so very, very, very rough measurements. I don't really like be very precise, but it kind of gives me an idea of what I'm looking for. I'm gonna turn this thing out to the side, kind of mount it up, and just make sure that it fits the theme that I'm after. Hopefully I don't dump it off of the table. Okay, I think that's pretty similar to what I was wanting. I really wanted this piece to kind of be inset from there, but the legs to be full width. So the legs are 24 inches. I can already tell I didn't measure properly because that one's thicker than that one. And then the idea is I think this thing's gonna be 5 inches wide. So it'll be like that wide. Slightly inset. I haven't really figured that out exactly, but I'll have it slightly inset on both sides, and then there'll probably be a cross brace in between the two legs. Okay, I think that does it. It's basically what I envisioned. It doesn't look weird. I'd kind of done it with speed holes and a bunch of ideas. I was really afraid of water getting in there and then not being able to seal the inside of it, and yeah. So, good enough for me. Kind of fits what I'm after. Let's throw a sheet on the plasma table and get it cut. Well, I was hoping to get a really cool time lapse of the plasma cutter cutting all this stuff, but battery died. So anyway, all the parts are cut. Got them all lined up so I can deburr them. And knowing where they go is going to be a little bit of a challenge, although I have the original design, and hopefully in my mind, I nailed it. Just for shits and giggles, let's see how close this is to the actual cut. Not very close. But thankfully, the design that I've got in 2D is actually what I want versus this. I just kind of wanted to make sure that, you know, this style was going to work. So the actual plates themselves should all be dialed. Pretty much the same thing. I do have it set up to where this thing will be slightly lower, so maybe another 1/4 of an inch or so. All right, so let's move the smoke box off of the fab table and try to use this crane to do it. Engine lift, hoist, whatever. And get it set over there. Hopefully nothing goes terribly wrong. And then I'll start on the legs. All right, we're on like night 4 or 5 of this smoker build that ended up being a little larger than I thought it would be. Got it moved off the table, sitting over under some stands. Everything's done. Got some eyebrows for the gauges. Handles are done, put a little drip rail on it, really just to keep water out of running behind the doors. And then I built one of the legs. And I've started the other one. So, I mean, they're just all tacked together. I don't have it done, but I just cut the crap out of my finger. But can't stop. I got a little birthday party coming up this weekend. And I don't know that I'm gonna cook on this thing, but I'd like to get it at least really close to done. Maybe not cleared, but done. So, here's the plan. It's gonna finish up this set of legs, and then I've got a cross brace that's gonna go between the legs, designed. Probably cut that on the plasma table. Plans are for tonight, get that one done, get the cross brace mounted, attached to this one, both legs fully welded and kind of ground, because I don't wanna do it underneath the smoker. And then underneath this thing, get it set it on there, kind of get it measured out. Maybe tacked in. I know it's probably pretty aggressive considering I likely need stitches. I'm hoping it'll stop bleeding and maybe I can use some steady strips, but gonna keep working. Worry about the stitches later. All right, it's the next day. Worked all night last night. Actually, I put like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours in. And then I decided that my finger was probably cut worse than it needed to be. And I hadn't had a tetanus shot, and so I probably need to go to the emergency room. And so yeah, I did all that stuff, got home, I don't know, 1 a.m. Very little sleep. Finger's good though. So anyway, one leg is done, completely done. The other leg is really, really close. I've also got the center support cut. Gonna finish grinding this, weld the center support together, start attaching all these, maybe put some legs on it. And then my hope is that I can slide it up under here and set the cooker on it and kind of see the finality without the firebox. Let's do that. So we're jumping ahead just a little bit. Done a bunch of welding and just, it's been a lot of work. More work than I thought. More time under the hood than I thought it was gonna be. So basically what I've been working on is finishing out the interior of this firebox, getting all insulation in here. I think the last time I showed you this thing, I had maybe these 2 pieces or these 3 pieces in there. Got the sides in now. I don't know, maybe like a 1/2 inch little overhang. And then on this side, I just kind of, 45'd it because I had to leave this section open. And then on the top, I haven't put the top on yet. So basically the cavity on this side is still open. You can see I've got that insulation in there. Then I put a roof in it. So you can see where I welded the roof here. I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe an inch and a half on the inside. Welded in from the top, fully welded it. The only reason I didn't put the top in is because I've got these holes here. They're gonna help me hang this thing on the actual smoker. So I drilled these ahead of time, just kind of helped me. And then one other thing I did too is I actually made this piece here that matches the center support. Kind of looks like it goes through it, and that'll just keep it from the weight of that firebox swinging in. So somehow I'm gonna move this thing over here. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet because it's pretty heavy. I'll bolt it up, that way I know everything lines up, and then I'll kind of keep from swinging, and then I'll start welding it permanently. And we should be about done on this thing. The one thing I did want to mention though is I talked about having the DXF files available for this entire build. I'm gonna do that, but I've also spent the time to do a set of dimensional drawings. So I just sat down and hand drew every dimension on this entire build. So if you didn't have a plasma table or access to a plasma table, or didn't want to spend the money to have a plasma cut, if you wanted to, you could sit down and basically build this exact smoker based on dimensions. You buy a couple sheets of 1/8 inch steel, you hand cut it, whether it's a cut-off wheel or jigsaw or whatever, and you could build this if you want to. Now I will tell you, this build's taken me more time than I thought it would, even with the plasma table, mainly because I'm not used to welding this much. It's kind of been a good thing because my MIG skills aren't that great. So like, some of my low amperage MIG welding isn't the greatest. I feel pretty confident about my high amperage stuff, which tends to be easier. So you can lay some pretty decent high amperage welds with the MIG. So like all this stuff, I TIGged all this, TIGged the brows, TIGged the handles, right? Trying to make it look as nice as I possibly can, but TIG is so slow. Like the brackets up top, I MIGged all those. Everything down here, it's all been MIGged, both sides. So anyway, a lot of MIG welding, more than I ever expected. It's a good thing for me. If you ever want to learn, if you ever want to get good at welding, just start a project that takes a lot of welding. You'll figure it out by the end. All right, so back to this. I got one more long weld I gotta do. So like I welded this entire top in from the top side, but this joint here, I'm gonna do from underneath. So I got that to do. Oh, and then I got this back vertical I'm gonna do. And I think that's it on this thing. And the only thing left to do on this will be the trim pieces that go on the door, some X braces, a handle. I gotta put a handle on this thing. I don't necessarily have to do that before I hang it though. So I may do that interior weld, hang this bad boy, weld the top on it. I'm gonna put the insulation in here before I weld the top on it, obviously. Hang it, insulation, weld the top on, weld it in place. Yeah, Then I can do the door handles and the trim pieces on this, and then I think it'll be done. One other thing I ran into too, and I don't know how this happened, but along the way, somehow, the doors themselves got a bow in them on just the top, which is weird. I'm sure it has to do with welding or something. The bottom seals up pretty good. The top, not so much. And even though you can't really see it because of the drip guard I've got on there, I don't want smoke rolling out of this thing. So I think what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna go in here and put some like either angle or straight pieces on the verticals and across the tops. I think maybe the bottom didn't move because of this drip guard I've got on here. So anyway, I'm gonna do like a vertical piece across the top, try to straighten it up in the process. I really want these doors to seal up pretty good. Everything else is pretty much done. Fully welded the gauge pieces. I gotta make the racks, but I don't have to do that before I clear the entire smoker, which is kind of why I'm trying to get this thing done, because it's getting colder and colder by the day, and I don't want to be, really don't want to be clearing this thing when it's cold. I'd love to get it cleared while the temperatures are at least in the 70s. So that's my goal. I'll make the racks, the slide-in racks separately later. That's not a big problem. I just want to get this thing buttoned up so I can get it clear coated. Anyways, back to what I was saying. If you want to build something like this, I'm going to try to give you everything I possibly can. In the dimensional drawings, I'll also give you the actual size. I'll probably give you like the actual template for the hinges. The hinge pieces, maybe these. Definitely the handle pieces. It's like when you get the printout, it'll actually be an actual size drawing of this. You can cut it out or do whatever you wanted to do with it. Put it on your steel, trace it out, and you can hand cut all these pieces if you choose to. All right, let's get back to work. All right, she is done. So got the doors off, just clean everything up. You can kind of see, so these doors are kind of powdery looking. Well, this thing I've already wiped down a couple times with this Prep All. It's nice and clean. So I'm gonna probably wipe it down one or two more times. Now I'm gonna start wiping this stuff on, this heat coating. Resistant to scratches and marring. Not really worried about all that stuff. I just don't want it to rust. So if it'll hold the heat, it won't rust, I'll be happy. All right, a couple more wipe downs, and then I was gonna spray this stuff, but the weather, well, for one, moving this thing outside is a little tough. And so I was like, man, I'll just wipe it on. Maybe I'll hang those and spray them when it's time, but for this big bag boy, I'm gonna try to just wipe it on. Oh my goodness. Oh. So as you can see, the dogs have literally taken over the couch. I tore my shop couch. 2 big holes in it. Y'all are boneheads. Guess I'm gonna have to get on the couch at some point. Wait till they get out of their chewing stage, I guess. Smoker, man, this thing's looking good. So I got it all clear coated, or at least one coat of clear coat on this thing. Really darkened it up a ton. You can see right here. So I didn't want to go too far in the smoke box, so maybe you can't see, I don't know. Let me get out of your light. So I kind of wiped in the edge just a little bit. This is raw, this is coated. So that's cleared. You can see the difference in how dark it is. I didn't want to go too much in there because, I mean, I don't know what kind of toxins this thing might have as it burns off. If it does, it's supposed to be rated to 1500 degrees, which maybe in there it would burn off, but the rest of it shouldn't. So I didn't go inside in the chamber, the smoke chamber at all either. Just did the outside, got the doors all done, the handles, all that stuff's already dialed in. Coated is the best I can. I didn't want to miss a crevice because I want this thing to rust the least possible amount. I'm sure I'm gonna have some rust break through in certain spots, probably get some runs. I feel like it'll add to the character of the smoker, but as a whole, I wanted it to stay as close to this as I possibly could keep it. And then the plans are, once I kind of get it all back together, I will spray the inside with probably a cooking spray. So a cooking spray, spray the whole inside. That'll kind of season it a little bit. And then once you start running through some smoke through it, and it gets a little soot on it, another coat of cooking spray, and it'll just kind of season it, and that'll keep it from, rusting or whatever over time, or should minimize it. The thing is with this clear, I don't think it says on here, but I think you gotta wait several days between coats. So I wiped all this on. I really love the way it looks. Really popped out a lot of the character in it that I purposely made. So like, when you weld from the backside, the heat itself kind of breaks through the front, and so I kind of sanded that through and then cleared it. But yeah, looks good. I tried to get every little crevice, tried to get everything I possibly could in between the hinges. So my plans are to grease the hinges up real well, which will help them kind of open and close and not, kind of get galled up, but also prevent from rusting if I keep them things nice and greased. So I think I've got this thing dialed. I'm ready to go. It's ready to kind of put it back together. I might put it back together and wait a couple days and then maybe spray one coat on it. Get one nice even coat sprayed on there. Like I said, I've wiped everything, so I feel real good about it. The sad thing is like my OCD does not want any rust. I don't want it, but I just know it's not gonna happen. So I'm not even gonna try. Okay, so now that this thing's ready to go, I don't think I'm missing anything. I need to make at least one rack for it. Gotta have one rack to cook some food on. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's make a rack. First rack is done. So I put a handle in it so I can pull it in and out. I will have to put some stops over the top of this just to kind of keep it from dumping your meat off in the ground. Put a handle in it mainly because on the bottom rack you won't be able to get underneath it. So on the other two I could leave the handle out, but I kind of like the way it looks, so I may do it the same. There she is. The offset reverse flow smoker. So gonna do a lot of cook on this thing. Y'all go catch me on Instagram at the Fab Farms. I'll be eating all kinds of good stuff. Now I have put together some dimensional drawings on this build, along with the actual DXF files. If you've got a plasma cutter, if you know somebody's got a CNC plasma cutter, you can cut a lot of this stuff out. Basically, I include all of the main components. So like all the main pieces to do the cooker. It's got the hinges in there if you want to make these hinges, or you can make your own. I think it has the handle bracket in there if you want to use this handle bracket, or you can kind of make your own. Some of the stuff it won't have is probably like the eyebrows and a lot of the little tiny stuff. I don't know what I'm trying. Oh, like on the inside of this. I don't think I included like these because I just measured them and then cut them afterwards and put them in there. So if you want to insulate it, you'll have to do that. I don't think it includes like the X braces or like the slide pieces, but like I said, you can kind of figure that stuff out after the fact. I end up using some square tube, and to be honest with you, I probably would have done it here versus what I did, just because the square tube worked better. And as a matter of fact, the whole firebox is square tube, so. Anyways, like I was saying, I've got dimensional drawings, so I basically just drew out all of the dimensions of this thing, laid it all out for you. It's pretty simple. You know, if you got a corner here, it's basically just 5 inches off each side. It's got the length, it's got the width, it's got the width this way, all the dimensions for the smokestack and the firebox, including the legs. So I've laid out all the dimensions for the legs. So if you want to take on this project, it was a little more than I thought it was going to be, but if you want to take on a project like this, I will offer up those dimensional drawings and the DXF files. I'll link them up in the description. You can go check it out. Anyway, there you go. Until the next build, go do work, son.